All right. This week, we're starting your interviews and scorecards. You either love this or you hate it. And unfortunately, a lot of students hate it. I don't want to discourage with you. I don't want to discourage you with this, but I do want to say this, that this though when students come to understand how important interviews and scorecards are, then they love it. And if you don't have the vision of it, then the students hate it. And so I wanted to give you a vision of what we're trying to accomplish with interviews and scorecards. I also want to talk to you my expectation, what I'm looking for with your scorecards and interviews. And hopefully you'll come to love it, even though it will be a lot of work. This portion of your assignment is a lot of work. The interviews and scorecards represent the out of the office portion of your assignment. Okay. So first, why do we do it? As we get out and as we interview people, as we have these conversations, as we do this market testing, we are going to get a lot of information, and we need a way to capture that information and store it. That's what the interviews and scorecards are all about. Okay, that's why we do it. So how do you do it? How do you keep track of this information? Really, you can pick your own method. It's completely up to you, but you need to be consistent. So I'm going to show you some examples of students in the past and what they've done, and then I'm going to show you an I learned where the assignment expectations are for interviews and scorecards. So first, let me show you examples. Okay, this is an example of a student who created his scorecard in a Word document. And he just created a column for the name of the person that he'd interviewed. And then he quantified whether or not they were excited for it numerically. They would buy it, yes or no. And then he got some feedback as to why and why not. And he also, later on in the semester, we start talking about revenue. And so this was a lesson 4 interview that he gave. But he then started talking about how much money they would spend, right? Any kind of changes that they would suggest in comments. So that's how he captured his information. That was in a Word document. Let me show you an Excel spreadsheet of a student. This one's a little more organized, right? He has, again, the name, the market segment that he's talking to, and then some notes. He had some sections on here, email, but you notice he never included it, so you probably don't need that. And also cell phone, probably don't need that either. Now remember, part of your interview list comes from your list of 50. And last week you created a list of 50. This week we're asking you to put 50 more on there. And I want to repeat what I said in last week's screencast that I gave about your list of 50 with this list. You can put placeholders. You can create sections, 10 each, if you want, for each of the 9 business blocks, and just create placeholders. Leave them blank, for interviews. I'm fine with that. But if you break them up at least in groups of 10 for the blocks, that's great, and do that. That way, at least it shows me that it's not just a blank Excel spreadsheet. Okay, I just want to show you one more thing, and I'll show you my screen to get to the instructions. Notice I'm in the homepage landing page for B383. I'm going to go to week 3. And I'm going to go to the instructions for, update your business model canvas. What I want to show you is the instructions for these interviews. So part 1, part 2, and then part 3 right here are your context interviews and scorecard. So here's where it details the instructions, but this is the point I want to make out. The majority of these interviews will be very brief, 1 to 2 minutes. The rest will be longer. We don't want you to take a lot of time with these, just very quick, right? And here's an example of a short interview. Here's a business idea I have. Show them the MVP. Would you buy it? Why or why not? That's simple. Thank you for your time. I'm done. Longer interviews, you want to show the interviewee your MVP and your value proposition, pains, gains, empathy maps, and then seek their feedback. Okay, those are a little bit longer. The idea is having 2 longer ones and 8 shorter ones. All right, you're doing that every week. Every week, same thing. 2 long, 8 short. And then at the end of the week, after you do all of that, you're going to create your scorecard. You're going to capture all that information so you can quantify that. You can put it all in the same document, the same Excel spreadsheet, and then submit it. Okay?